Welcome to Nevada, a sprawling state that stretches from the alpine beauty of Lake Tahoe through endless sweeps of basin and range, country so unpopulated you can drive for hours without passing another car, where its rugged history feels as close as yesterday, to the frenzy of urban areas, to Las Vegas, the fastest growing city in the nation, offering ample employment and a chance to start afresh. It's Nevada, touted as a place that's friendly to business, minimal regulation, no corporate or personal income tax, a place with far more than its share of millionaires. Surely it's a land of opportunity. No wonder people are flocking here. Yet, for all its glitter and shine, Nevada has a dark underbelly. On every quality of life indicator, we show up at the wrong end of the scale. Tops in suicide, high school dropouts, teen pregnancy, divorce, alcoholism, smoking, last in healthcare, last in students getting college degrees, at the bottom in spending on education. Yes, first in job growth, but mainly the kinds of jobs that pay minimum wage and no benefits. A state where the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. Clearly something had to be done. In 1994, the Progressive Leadership Alliance of Nevada, PLAN, came into being as a coalition of progressive-minded, diverse organizations intent upon making a positive difference for all Nevadans, regardless of their class, economic status, or origins.
We have learned to get organized politically. We didn't know how to run a campaign. We didn't know how to run for office. PLAN has provided an incredible amount of research for us to be educated about the American political process.
We knew it would be a tough thing to pull off, given the diversity and the numbers of people and groups you're dealing with. But we had this confidence that if you could pull it off, it really was effective.
In a coalition that grew quickly to 40-plus organizations, they focused on bringing about a positive difference in the areas of welfare, immigration, taxes, environment, campaign finance reform, and economic, racial, and gender justice. Today, PLAN has offices in Las Vegas and Reno, where the growing board frequently squeezes in to discuss the issues of the day, with members from around the state chiming in by conference call.
You don't need to agree on absolutely everything, but it gives you a vehicle for communicating.
Over the years, its collective voice has become strong and vital, but the road getting here was full of challenges.
We started with basically nothing except a dream, donated office space out on Franktown Road, donated equipment, a lot of people who believed in us.
At the outset, Maya Miller provided a place to work and critical seed funds.
I'd had experience with Ellen Malcolm of Emily's List and really subscribed to her theory that early money is like yeast. It gets the outfit going.
We had no idea that we would be deluged with the array of issues that we're working on now.
The battlegrounds have been numerous and diverse. In 1998, 4 Latino workers were killed in a workplace explosion at Sierra Chemical Company east of Reno. It's likely that minimal safety instruction had been present, and probably not in Spanish.
We lose about 18 workers a day here in America, and that's not acceptable. It's just absolutely not acceptable, and we're not going to accept it, and we're going to tell people about it. Right on.
PLAN and other workers' rights advocates knew they'd need the hammer of the law to establish sufficient safety standards. They backed legislation to protect workers' rights. From then on, PLAN would have a presence in the halls of the Capitol.
This session, more than 700 lobbyists representing about 1,000 interests and organizations walked the halls of the legislative building.
Gilbert, who began 16 years ago as a volunteer lobbyist for the League of Women Voters, now lobbies for a nonprofit group, the Progressive Leadership Alliance of Nevada.
We enthusiastically support AB 196. The assets test is a block for many women and children for achieving health care services.
Now, as this session nears the homestretch, Gilbert hopes her influence and efforts will pay off.
You know, you don't always win, but but you're educating, you're making changes, that kind of thing. And I think the renewable energy is a very prime topic this session, and I think we could win that too.
Nevada ended up passing some of the strongest renewable energy laws in the country. In 2001, Plan and allies, including the Reno Sparks Indian Colony, fought a proposed kitty litter plant, an environmentally destructive open-pit mine intended for north of Reno, next to tribal land. It took crashing the stockholders' meeting in Chicago to stop the project. Meanwhile, Plan was fighting the anti-gay marriage initiative and other discriminatory efforts. When the Immigrant Workers' Freedom Riders, a group fighting for racial and economic justice, pulled into northern Nevada, Plan was there to support them.
El pueblo de Reno, el pueblo de Nevada, sí están con ustedes. Y cuando lleguen a Washington, quiero que...
I shed blood in Korea for my beloved country. I have the right to express my opinion without retaliation.
Y para mí separarme de mi familia ha sido...
It was a really difficult decision for me to leave my family behind, but in my country, they're suffering extreme poverty. I had to come here and leave my family behind to try to make a living and provide for them.
Thank you for your courage. We urge you onward together in the struggle for justice for all.
Over the years, Plan has relied on solid research and analysis in shaping its policies and has effectively taken its message out to the public through a variety of formats and media outlets.
Several workers' rights groups today said Nevada's quality of life is being damaged by the effect of so many low-wage jobs. Nevada is well known for having a higher rate of low-paying jobs than other states. And a report prepared by 2 University of Nevada scholars says the cost-cutting techniques workers use to get by are costing taxpayers and hurting families.
There are thousands of workers in Nevada who see their children far too little because they are working 14 and 16 hours a day.
I saw my daughter just 1 hour in the morning, and when I got home by 11:30, my child was asleep.
How do people get by? They scrimp. They don't have child care. They go without health care. They have to go to food banks and other assistance.
Nevada can and should enact a fair minimum wage law within our state.
And so it was off to the legislature.
We do a lot of organizing with workers that are paid minimum wage. You'll find that workers, in the story that Dr. Chandler told you about someone who did a job, 8-hour job, and then went home and ate and went back to work, is the norm.
Plan supported organized labor's bill to increase the minimum wage from $5.15 to $6.15 an hour, which voters would pass in 2004. Meanwhile, the economy was weakening. And then came the tragedy of September 11, 2001, and Nevada's tourist economy took a major hit.
Unemployment is rising in the Silver State. July's unemployment rate for Nevada rose 0.1% to 4.7%.
The economy worsened. How could jobs become better paying, especially at a time like this? Where would the money come from? Plan decided it would have to study the tax structure. The staff hired an economist, rolled up its sleeves, and went to work.
A new plan that promises to give more money to Nevada schools and social services, but someone will have to pay for it.
A group of Northern Nevadans think they have a way to improve the Silver State's education.
That's right, Joe. Their name is PLAN, the Progressive Leadership Alliance of Nevada. It consists of about 45 different groups, including labor groups, women's groups, and some environmental groups, many of which are considered politically liberal. Today, PLAN met with the state's Tax Revenue Commission with their own plan to save millions of dollars.
The governor and the legislature have a task force at work trying to develop a proposal, but members of the legislature have complained about what they consider drift, and they welcomed what the Progressive Leadership Alliance is doing, at least to stimulate discussion. One Republican lawmaker today told me all he sees is, quote, a lack of leadership, unquote. What might be called the plan has 4 components: a 5% tax on business profits above $50,000 a year, a 6.8% tax on investment income above $100,000 a year. Plan is also seeking hikes in tobacco and alcohol taxes.
The 2+2 plan met with powerful resistance.
That during a time of economic slowdown and trouble that we are having in the state of Nevada, that is probably not the time to raise taxes. We've recognized.
After 2 bitter special legislative sessions and intervention by the state Supreme Court, the largest tax increase in Nevada's history passed by a 2/3 majority in both houses. It was signed into law by Republican Governor Kenny Gwinn, to the great delight of Plan. It wasn't always easy being the voice for change, so when the Ford Foundation recognized Bob Fulkerson and Plan out of thousands nominated for their efforts in bringing about positive change, the time had come to celebrate.
This is a celebration tonight. It's not a cause. It's not a struggle. We're supposed to be here to have fun because we hardly ever celebrate our successes. I have to recognize the matriarch of the progressive movement in Nevada, Maya Miller.
It's really through Plan that I've been able to do as much as I've been able to do in terms of my own political voice that I now have in the state of Nevada. God forbid what they've created.
And whereas Plan has an interest in keeping children fed, see Nevadans paid a decent wage with job security, protecting a woman's right to choose.
The Nevada legislature, sometimes things can seem a little dark down there. When you're talking about social justice, when you're talking about the way this state should be, and it doesn't matter day or night. Whether you ask, hey, do you think you could do a demonstration of about 100 people by about 11 o'clock tomorrow? Bob says, sure. I said, what a great opportunity to just take a minute and realize that things can happen when we work together.
Well, there's so much to celebrate, yet there's so much more that we have to do around making sure that these anti-tax backlashes don't take hold in our state, making sure that ordinary people realize that they have the right to be elected to and hold office. And immigrants in Nevada are also a key constituency that we're trying to branch out to, and building the Nevada Immigrant Coalition is one of our top priorities for the coming years.
And so the issues continue.
We would like to flood the City Council with public comment regarding this. I would like the member organizations of Plan to be part of this effort.
A really sharp analysis of all the different water issues in the state. Without water, there is no future, and that's why we are really happy to be able to start working more closely with more traditionally conservative elements in rural Nevada and in Utah and in California on protecting water resources in the Great Basin.
Las Vegas has proposed pipelines and deep wells. They'd be on the Nevada side of the border, but just barely. There's concern it will dry up springs and draw down wells on both sides of the border. The biggest fear of the people of Snake Valley is that all the money and power of Las Vegas will squash them like bugs.
Here in Las Vegas, we have a very serious concern about our uncontrolled growth and the problems that it has created for us. The irony is that people come out here to live in the desert for weather, for jobs, for many different reasons, but we're trying to turn it into a water paradise. You know, we're standing here in a park with the airport right behind us that has increasing daily flights coming in. We have a man-made lake serving residents, and we're also looking at major amounts of grass and that require watering, that requires irrigation. And we're in the middle of a desert. We don't have water. At Plan, we're working on a comprehensive solution that will include how we grow smartly, how we effectively use our water resources, that will set a precedent not only for the state of Nevada, but for the western region and the entire nation.
Teaching at one of the largest community colleges in the country, is clear to me every day as I come into the classroom to see how fast the population is growing and changing and the needs of the state of Nevada. It is crucial that we at PLAN work actively to connect diverse organizations. In doing that, we can realize our vision of transforming power, deepening democracy, and creating social justice for all.